Bob writes about it. Jim talks about it. But Chuck did something about it.
Foreman on a big hole across the 10. He's something else. He's out in touchdown land. He's something else, baby.
Now, here's longtime columnist Bob Sansevier, Fox 9's Jim Rich, and the great number 44,
Double 4.
Chuck Foreman.
Welcome to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, presented by 10K Construction. Jim Rich here, Chuck Foreman here, and also we are honored to have with us this week Kat Perkins.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this is so kind of you to come here. You're here to talk football, Vikings football. You're a huge Vikings fan.
Huge, the biggest.
Well, there you go. That's why it's perfect you're here. And you're also working with another of our sponsors, Experience Maple Grove, and they've got a huge event coming up in August. It's Restaurant Week. We'll get into that. But first, Chuck, you've been out to training camp. You were out there the other day, first padded practice. What kind of impressions did you walk away with?
Okay. First of all, I was limited in what I could see.
Correct.
But what I did see, I saw some athletes out there, some really good ones. So how they put it together offensively, defensively, and how they, I have no doubt that defense is going to be fast and aggressive. I have no doubt about that. Now, the only question they have is that one quarterback position, and I'm sure they'll be bringing people in to fill that if the people that they have on field now, don't come around. But I'm cautiously optimistic about this team.
All right, I want to ask you more about how to fill that position because it's more than likely a starter that they're missing in that secondary. Now, they went out and signed Bobby McCain, who is a 10-year vet. Last year was with the Giants, didn't do much, just played special teams, but he has a history with Brian Flores. Back when Flores was the head coach of the Dolphins, this was one of his guys that he leaned on back in those days. So he walks in here, and I think the coolest thing about this guy that shows that he's a player is that he was signed and showed up. It was the first day of padded practice, and he put on the pads and went out there and played and did everything. There was no, oh, nice to meet you, we'll just work you out on the side. He said, no, I want to jump in there and go.
Well, there's a reason why Brian brought him here, because he has that type of ability and he knows the system, and he could just step in and do the job. And from what we know, he's a very aggressive type corner. He's not that tall, as you know. But
I think 5'8", 5'9".
He might be just 5'8" and 5'9". But remember Winfield?
Yes, sir.
He was about 5'9", 5'10", right?
Yes.
Right, and he was a pretty darn good quarterback. So, I think with Flores and his system and him coming in here, I think that was a great sign. When I say sign, to sign him to be part of the Vikings. So we'll have to wait and see. It's the first practice. So.
All right. But to fill a position like that, he's obviously, I don't think, can be the day one starter. If they have to go out and find somebody, there's really, at this point, anybody that can play the position is in a camp somewhere, right? Because there's been no cuts yet. So it's either going to be a money deal where some other team has to let somebody go at the end, or Kwesi's going to have to make a trade.
Well, that's, they got a lot of possibilities, but they didn't bring him in here because he could be a backup. They brought him in here because he might be able to play for them.
No, that's true.
He didn't come in here just to be a special teams guy. They got plenty of those guys. So, but we have to. It's a wait see. They're gonna see how these guys develop. We're in an unfortunate situation for a couple of different reasons, but I think if the Kwesi does what he normally does, he'll fix the problem if it becomes one.
All right, Kat, have you been to a Vikings training camp? Not just this year, but you've never gone to
I'm so
any?
jealous, right? I've never gone, and I live right by the new training center, and I need to get out there. I'm just always working as a musician. It's hard for me in the summertime to have any time. but I would make time for that. It would be so fun to watch.
Well, we should maybe set it up a day that
Yes.
Chuck's out there. He could kind of show you the ropes.
Yeah,
would
no
love
problem.
it.
No problem.
All right. You're from North Dakota
Yeah.
originally.
Yeah.
Vikings football. You said
Right.
that you are a big fan.
Huge.
Take us through your development of becoming such a fan
So-
of the Vikings.
Growing up in North Dakota, we kind of had two choices, like where I lived in Southwest North Dakota. So the Broncos were kind of there, right? And then in Minneapolis, the Vikings and all of the teams here. But it was, first of all, my favorite color is purple. So that was easy. But my dad.
Yeah, orange is not very
Orange
becoming.
no, I hate it.
The Bronco orange, not yours.
wow.
Now, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you can see Chuck is wearing the Miami orange color.
Yeah, this is Miami.
Yeah, but you guys were orange was part of it, but yours was the green more, right? Wasn't the green
but
the
more green,
top
but we
color?
green was the top, but still we had some orange in there. Okay, it's good.
So my dad was like,
Okay, then we'll rip the Broncos
Yeah,
blue part then.
totally
Is that okay
fine.
if I,
We
if
can
I
rip that.
the blue doesn't work with her?
I'm just joking.
So my dad was also the biggest fan. He still apologizes a lot for that because he's like, I know it's the hardest job on earth to be a Vikings fan and your heart breaks a lot. But there were so many exciting times. And then when I really got into it was Dante Culpepper, our quarterback, and I had a huge crush on him. And then I wanted to watch every Sunday for sure. And it goes down the line of my whole family. They're all Vikings fans, and it was just ingrained in me. And for some reason, by the time I was 13 or 14, I was way into football. I even became like the offensive statistician for my high school team, so I
Really?
could travel with them and of course learn the game inside and out, being in that position. And sometimes if they needed a national anthem singer, I was always there too. So
Well,
it's like double
I think
duty.
you could handle that job as well. I think you wouldn't have a problem with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of national anthems, you've done it at US Bank Stadium.
I have.
What was that like compared to a concert?
Oh Lord, it's so. How do I? It's intense. It's like the hardest job in the world besides playing the game. After that, but 60,000 people, and you can't screw it up, and everyone else knows the words, so you
Right.
better know it. But I was actually, I guess it's probably even in my Wikipedia. I was the first person to sing the national anthem at the new stadium.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
I think it was Jason Aldean or somebody who came through after that with a concert, and he like stopped the concert and said, I want to be the first one to sing the anthem in this space. And then all the critics were like, no, it already happened. Our girl Kat Perkins did it.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So I think I've done it 3 times at US Bank Stadium. I did it once at TCF, when we were in
Outside?
interim. Yeah. That was my first time. But it's like, if you want to feel your heartbeat in your eardrums, you sing the national anthem at a stadium. It's wild. It is the coolest thing in the world.
Well, Chuck, for you guys, we see the players during the national anthem. And of course, when you were here with Bud Grant, the anthem was a critical part of game day. I mean, he had you guys actually practice lining up for the national anthem with the helmet under your shoulder.
Under your shoulder. Your shoes had to be, well, they did clean your shoes, but you had your socks had to be a certain way.
Oh,
I mean, we were definitely
this.
uniform, no question about it. But, that was really important but it was important to all of us. I thought that was and then, of course, we didn't have people singing it. They played it over the,
Right,
so
over
you
the
didn't
speaker
have to worry
system.
about, because most of the people I saw after, when they started letting it go, they doing it live. Everybody wanted to create their own version of they sing the words, but
Right.
hit a different way,
right.
make it memorable. You know what I mean? And I remember when Whitney Houston sang it that time. I
Oh,
think
my gosh.
in Tampa, that was like,
Yeah, at the
I mean,
Super
I
Bowl
actually,
right
I
after
purchased it.
9/11.
Yeah.
I purchased that.
that was
recording.
like, she blew it out the,
Yeah.
Yeah, she blew it out. And then I heard Marvin Gaye sing it once. That one was good too. I mean, that was the same ones that I like. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. But
I'll tell you a little inside
Sure.
info on it.
We're in for that.
Because there's already the pressure, and then you have the words, right? You got to remember the whole thing. But if you're being broadcast on television, then there's a guy who sits in front of you and tells you to either speed up or slow down.
Oh.
It also applies to like the flyover that's going to happen. So you have to be within that realm. So now you're watching the guy going like this, like speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. And then your mind just go like, it's wild. It's a ride. But also it's such a production that it's really fun to do that. But it's
I know I couldn't do it.
and I couldn't play, so.
So you guys make a great couple this way.
Exactly.
She takes care of the
And I'm
anthem, and
only
you
like-
take care of the touchdowns.
Right.
One of the weirdest things too, when we're down there, it's like I'm 4'11" in height. So then when I'm standing with all these players, it's quite the sight for me not even to come up to their waist. And also Coach O'Connell now, I had no idea that he was that tall.
Yeah, he's really tall.
I was standing by him last year and I was like, oh my God, it's pretty cool.
Right.
Chuck, how did Bud explain it to you guys that this was important to him? Was
Well,
it something that he
was-
had a conversation with, or is it just...
No, it was more with everything that was going on in that time anyway. And, there was a lot of things happening in the country at that time. And, the country's doing a lot of healing, a lot of changing and all that. And, you got to be proud of your country. And we all were. We were happy to be moving forward in a lot of different areas of society. And, I felt proud when I was standing up there with all of us did. It was something that we said, okay, let's get there and let's do it right. Everybody wanted to be standing perfectly because, the camera would be going down. You didn't want to be the guy that wasn't looking right. Right. You wanted to be looking at the flag. You wanted to be, have that nice, serious look on your face, whether that's the game prep face or, just thinking about all the great things the country brings you. It's not perfect, but it's still, I don't want to be anywhere else.
I still cry. I cry if, I can't cry when I'm doing it, but if I'm in the stands every time, I cry.
Right,
it's just such an emotional moment.
It is that. I don't know if they still do it in schools anymore either.
Oh, yeah, for the Pledge of Allegiance?
We used to have the Pledge of Allegiance. Even when I was in public school, because I went to Catholic school, so we had the pledge, and then we said our prayer and all our Fathers and stuff like that. But boy, I wish they would. I understand. Certain things can't be in there, but the pledge should always be there, in my opinion. Because I'm a substitute teacher. I haven't done as much as I normally do, but I know when that comes on, I'm sitting looking at the kids, and they're not even. Standing up and recognizing where they are. And I'm sitting like, wait a minute. Do you understand how blessed you are to be here and to have the freedom that you have to do what you want to do?
Right.
And the people that sacrificed their lives so you could be here doing what you're doing right now. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. I could say it a few years ago, but can't say that now.
No.
Because you got to be real careful in that classroom what you say. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I went to elementary school in Duluth, Minnesota.
Right.
And so we would put up the flag every day before school, and everyone was not allowed in the building till that flag was up.
Yeah.
And we said the Pledge of Allegiance, it would be 20 below.
Yep,
And
same
we
thing.
would be all lined up by
Right,
classes.
right.
And everybody just did it every day. It didn't matter. No one was allowed in the school. And if you were in the building, everybody out.
I think that's one thing that should be brought back. If they're talking about schools and what they want to change, that's the one thing they should change. Make sure that's the pledge is said every morning prior to school start.
I agree.
That's me. That's the way Chuck Foreman feels. Whether you like it or not, I don't care.
That's a soundbite
That's
right there.
perfect. All right, now, Kat, let's get into the Experience Maple
Yes.
Grove. Let's get into Restaurant Week. It's coming up in August. Why has Maple Grove become the restaurant capital of Minnesota?
Well, let me tell you, if you know Maple Grove, it's, right off the interstate, you have all of these fantastic restaurants. We were talking before about some of my favorite ones out there, like Pittsburgh Blue. We've got a Crave location out there. I mean, you name it, it's out there. And it's just very concentrated, but easy access and easy to get to. So when I got hired this year to kind of be the spokesperson and do some brand ambassador stuff and even write their jingle, of course, I got to...
There's a jingle?
There's a jingle now!
Come on.
Wow.
I might have forced my way into that one. I don't know, but...
Do we get a sample of,
Yeah,
of
okay.
the jingle? I know this. I won't stretch or shorten you like the TV guy.
Don't put the pressure.
We'll just...
I should have ran over it before. Okay, so we wanted to get Shop, Dine, Stay, and Play in there, right? And then... the coverage that Maple Grove has with like their marketing kind of goes into North Dakota, South Dakota. So we had to make sure that we had got Minnesota in there. So I feel like it goes like this. Shop, dine, play, and stay, where food and fun shine under the sun. Relax, unwind, oh, the treasures you'll find. Come spend the day the Minnesota way. We're the restaurant capital of the state. Experience, oh, experience Maple Grove. Ring.
That was beautiful. Wow.
I can't believe I remembered it.
That was unbelievable.
If I could just write jingles for a living, trust me, I would. It's so much fun. But it's hard. You got to pack everything in into 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got to be the message.
Got to be the
Right?
message.
It's got to be on point.
It's got to
You gotta-
rhyme.
Yes.
It's got to be memorable.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I was really happy with how it turned out. They ended up using it, and it runs all over the ads. So like during Vikings games and during sports games, I get a ton of texts of like, I just saw you on TV, and I think it's your voice. So we're excited about Restaurant Week. That's coming up. I think last week I misspoke because I keep getting ahead of myself. So it starts August 12th.
Right.
Is Restaurant Week. And I just went and did some content out there, and there's this really cool thing where you can get this passport card, and you can kind of do the restaurant tour, and then you get stamped, and then there's perks at the end of that. So you got to check it out. And if you've never eaten in Maple Grove, it is the best meeting spot for anything, or date night, or meeting. Like my parents live on the west side, so it's our perfect meeting spot.
Yeah, it works out. So it's August 12th through the 18th, Restaurant Week. And as you said, you guys are now the restaurant capital of Minnesota. And
If
you
you
can
say
use
it, it's true.
Yeah, you got the Restaurant Week passport. It's at participating restaurants where you get deals, discounts, as well as a chance to win great prizes, including the ultimate Shop, Dine, Play, and Stay grand prize package. So go to experiencemaplegrove.com to check it out. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk more Vikings football, training camp, J.J. McCarthy. Everybody wants to know what's up with the young quarterback. We'll get Chuck's impressions of what he's seen in the limited time that he has been able to see him. And more importantly, what happens when the preseason games start? How much do you think O'Connell plays him? How much does he play Darnold? In the past, right, Kirk Cousins never saw the field in the preseason. Right. But that may all be changing. We'll take a break. This is the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, presented by 10K Construction. Jake is kicking himself because he didn't make this taping. He's going to be upset. But if you need anything done with your home or property, check out 10kconstruction.com.
On behalf of Vikings legend Chuck Foreman and Fox 9's Jim Rich, I'm Bob Sansevier, and I want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our radio partners, KXRA in Alexandria, KRWC in Buffalo, KDHL in Faribault and Owatonna, KDAL and WDSM in Duluth, WNMT in Hibbing, KTOE in Mankato, AM 660 The Bear, WBHR in St. Cloud, and Wild 102 FM in Roseau. Also, KWOA AM FM in Worthington, and KKBJ in Bemidji, and Bob Total Country, serving the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding areas. We'll talk to you later.